being pretty is actually a skill. You can be trained to look good and enhance your attractiveness. Hi, I'm Lena, and welcome to a new episode of Women, where I explore finding truth, balance, and grace for all the lovely ladies out there. If you're young or feeling lost in this big life, I gotcha. I publish on the 1st and 15th of every month. And today, we have to talk about beauty, what being pretty means, and how you can be pretty too. Beauty, a big subject to cover. Beauty is in our daily lives. We see beauty, we eat beauty, we buy beauty, we think beauty. Beauty is one of the most selling industries with fashion. Being pretty is really an everyday concern, especially for girls and women. It's a big selling point and a big source of all forms of complexes. According to the Oxford Dictionary, being pretty means being attractive and pleasing in appearance, good looking, especially in a delicate way. Merriam-Webster Dictionary gives us a similar definition: pleasing by delicacy or grace, having conventionally accepted elements of beauty and appearing or sounding pleasant or nice, but lacking strength, force, manliness, purpose, or intensity. So it's a form of beauty that is not so intense, we would say. And what is beauty then? Beauty is defined as the quality or group of qualities in a person or thing that gives pleasure to the senses or the mind. Interesting, because right away we see that beauty is not limited to appearance, but being pretty is quite focused on appearance. And we can see from this definition that your beauty will not only come from your appearance. It's a mixture of good looks, health, and confidence. As I mentioned in my first episode on glowing up, those are the main elements that create beauty because they establish peace, harmony, balance, stability, compassion. But then why does it matter for us so much to be young and pretty, specifically for us women? Why is it that makes us focus all our energy, all our money on being the prettiest? And why is it that we are jealous of girls that we judge to be more beautiful, prettier, more attractive? There are 4 parts for me to cover, and the first is that indeed there are reasons why appearance matters and why appearance should matter for everyone, not only for us women. But it is also true that women are more specifically concerned by beauty, and there are also reasons for that. However, over-focusing on appearance is also problematic, not just for us as individuals, but as a society. And finally, all women should understand that being pretty is actually a skill. It is a skill you need to learn. It is not luck or chance. You can be trained to look good and enhance your attractiveness if this is what you're looking for. And every woman can access that. So what is it that makes appearance so important to us? Why does it matter anyway? Well, I'd say the first reason is actually linked to survival, and it is hygiene. Bad odors, bad smells, bad breath, dirtiness and grease are all gross and disgusting to us. And the reason that there is such feeling is that they can breed bacteria, infections, all kinds of illnesses, and all of that can lead to pain and death. So there is quite an argument to sustain hygiene. This feeling of disgust is quite important because it incites us to maintain a state of cleanliness, which is an everyday, never-ending task, because you wake up all clean, You go out, you fight with the world, you sweat, you cry, you fall, and you need to clean up. Because if you let the dirt accumulate, you give the space for toxic agents to proliferate on you, in you, around you, basically. However, like everything, cleanliness should not be extreme. It also requires balance. Just like the guts, we need bacteria in our guts, but we need some good bacteria. We don't need all of them, but we need some of them. And similarly, we need to be clean, but we also need to be exposed to external agents. We need to swim in the ocean, to go out in nature and be in contact with dirtiness, especially for little kids. They need it for their immunity to build up. But there it is. Hygiene would be the first motivation for a clean appearance, which is usually the basic requirement of professional or business appearance. Something that is simple and clean, to give an image of safety somehow. And I'd say the second reason why appearance should matter for everyone is that being pretty is linked to socializing, to social groups, meaning that humans are obviously a social species. Humans crave beauty. And beauty, as we have seen, is the sense of pleasure. And actually, this word doesn't really explain what gives pleasure. But I truly believe that the main source of pleasure for us humans is harmony, is balance. That's where we find what we call grace. When there's something that feels just right, it's actually this balance we are looking for everywhere. This is really the core of beauty to me. And why do we look for harmony and balance? I think here the reason is of humans' divine nature. Divine is infinite, is creative, is peaceful and balanced. And because part of us is divine, part of us is infinite, we crave for what fits our nature. As simple as that. And as humans crave for beauty in all things, it is for us, not just as women but as humans, easier to be part of a certain group when we are agreeable to the eye, but also easier to find a mate. Now, women are more specifically concerned with being pretty because in this society they are weaker physically and emotionally, I would say. Since we are more compassionate, we are more in touch with our emotions, we are also more easily influenced and manipulated, which is quite a big weakness in a malicious and vicious society. And therefore, they are more at risk to be victims of mistreatments, especially when they have infants and kids. This explains why we as women will be less likely to provoke conflict because we want to be more agreeable, since we are concerned with being accepted first in a group as a form of protection against manipulation and mistreatments, because the more people, the stronger we are, in theory. And in all of that, beauty, or being pretty more specifically, is the easiest but also the strongest way to get accepted in a social group, but also to get the attention of males for mating and therefore find a protector and a procreator. So you see, for women, there are two more specific reasons that they will want to be pretty. That would be attracting males, get their attention, and also to be surrounded by a group of people that will protect them against negative influences, but that will also help them nurturing, caring for kids, and having a family, which is quite difficult. And that's why they seek for social acceptance. What really mesmerizes me in today's world is this dichotomy between being independent, strong women everywhere, making our own money, but at the same time over-focusing on being sexy, being good-looking, on attracting the male gaze. over-focusing on appearance to the point of fakeness and sexualizing everything. You see everywhere extreme makeup that looks cakey in real life, filters that change your features, lingerie worn as clothing, pictures in bikini that show all there is to see. It's quite a disturbing observation to make that women are pretending to be willing to be independent and strong, but at the same time, all they do is trying to get everyone's attention by trying to be praised for how they look. And that's a problem because women should be much more than what they look. And unfortunately, we have arrived to the point where actually we all depend on other people's attention and affection and likes. Social media have obviously influenced this trend, and they have changed the notion of pretty and attractive by focusing only on appearance, by allowing the comparison between women to get worldwide, and by extending the search for attention to extremes. What is even more disturbing is that it is now starting very early, with kids introduced to sexualized content all day long and looking 10 years older than they are because of all the makeup and looks that they see online and that they naturally just want to reproduce. But by that, they just look like they're in their 30s instead of teenagers. And hormones do not help. Hormones in food and water, developing their bodies faster than before. They're actually ready to be the focus of attention, especially sexual attention. Honestly, there is no real solution to that trend because as social media grow, it just gets worse. There are more and more channels and profiles and accounts that are promoting more natural ways of living and that are changing minds. But overall, I would think that staying a bit away of all this noise is the best solution, both for our own self, for our family, and eventually for our kids, because it doesn't teach us the whole picture. Appearance does matter, but as always, as with everything, it requires balance. We need to take care of our appearance, but it's not everything that we can be as women, and it's specifically not everything that we should be. There is so much more than we can teach, that we can share, that we can learn, that is not linked to being pretty to look at. And now, let me tell you something, and this is why you came here. Being pretty, especially for women, is actually a skill. I say for women because men are charming when they learn how to talk, how to joke, and how to listen. Those are social skills that they may or may not develop that make them charming and attractive to women. Because women are looking for men that can be aggressive and protective, but also that show some compassion, that make the women know that they can be soft and delicate with certain people, and in particular with their mate. And this is what women are looking for. On the other side, we have to be honest and admit that men are first attracted by pretty girls. But as I mentioned before, we need balance, and it's not the whole picture because it makes them come, it doesn't make them stay. And just as similarly as men developing social skills to become more charming, women can develop the skill of being pretty. Simply because, from my observation, 90% of women are what I would call standard or average, meaning that they just look human with some feminine traits, and they are not extremely attractive, but they are not repulsive either. I would say it's even more than this number, but let's give rough numbers. That also means that there are 5% or probably less that are unlucky with very non-harmonious features, which we would call ugly in that context. And there would be another 5% or probably less that would be the lucky ones with very harmonious faces or symmetrical faces that we call beautiful. And you've probably heard this phrase, you're not ugly, you're broke. Because if you noticed, a lot of beautiful faces are actually artificial faces made up by surgery or by extreme makeup and Photoshop. Truly beautiful people are very rare, and most of us are simply standard. There is no pretty category because the difference between pretty and standard or average, or what we usually call ugly, which is not the real ugly, is only skills. The skills to do your hair properly, to do your skin, to do your brows, to come up with a stylish outfit, to do your nails. Those skills are accessible to all women. We simply need to learn the basics. And I think really the difference between standard and pretty is that some women take the trouble to learn those skills and apply them on an everyday basis, and others just don't. It's a choice. It's a choice to decide to show up prettier or to just be average. And it's also okay to be average, but it's probably not what you're looking for. And you just don't get the benefits of having a great appearance, which I haven't mentioned yet, because benefits that I mentioned about acceptance and finding mates are external benefits that have created the need for being pretty in the first place. But there's also another part of taking care of our appearance that comes up to internal growth and self-love. So see, if you feel like the standard next door girl, if you feel like you're ugly, what you need to do is learn the basics of how to take care of your appearance. I'll cover this in the next episode if you'd like. For those who are truly ugly in this 5 or less % that have disgracious faces, what you should do is learn the skills too, because you can improve, but also emphasize other qualities that increase your attractiveness, which are being funny, being kind, being compassionate, being generous, being caring, being smart. Those are qualities that are highly valuable. And if you're in this position, know that it is your chance. Just like a deaf person would have an increased sense of vision, it is your chance to focus on much more valuable qualities. And for all of you ladies, once you've learned the skills, you also need to learn to apply balance. Balance will bring elegance, grace, sensuality, as opposed to being vulgar, being explicit. Giving just enough to see that you have good hygiene, you care for your body to be in its best possible version, but you care not revealing intimate secrets and intimate parts of you that should be kept for very close and very trustworthy people. Being pretty is therefore a skill. And we might argue that depending on the region where you live, what is considered pretty will not be the same. And I would agree with that, but honestly, it doesn't make any difference because what we are looking for here is basics. Just like every man and women have the same basic needs wherever they live. They need to sleep, they need to eat, they need to move, they need to love. This we need everywhere. And the only difference is that we do it differently, but the outcome is kind of the same. It's the same with everything, and especially with being pretty and with beauty. Wherever you are, being clean is important, and taking care of your hair, taking care of your outfits or how you present yourself are going to improve your attractiveness and your beauty. And then, the type of hair might vary, the type of oil, the type of ingredients that is available in your country might vary. But there is a general rule that is valid for all of us women in this entire world. And it's hard to explain by logic. It's hard to explain even with words because, as you can see, even the definitions that I gave in introduction are not really explaining what qualities makes you beautiful. They are simply words, and truly you will not find the answers outside. You have to look inside of yourself and open yourself to your intuition, which we women are really good at listening to. This is a gift and we should be thankful for that. I'll see you on the next one for tips on how to train yourself to develop your beauty skill. See you there.
Remember, there's enough space.